WSFA 12 Sports, SEC Media Days coverage. WSFA 12 Sports, SEC Media Days coverage.
Hey everybody, welcome into Dallas, Texas, here at the Omni Hotel. Davis Baker, Rosie, Langello. As you can see, we're really relaxed right now on these comfy chairs.
It's the final day.
It's the final day.
I feel like we've earned it.
We definitely deserve to just hang out right now. I'm getting some feedback in my ear. Let me take this out quick. But yeah, we are here today, last day, and it was Auburn Day today here at Media Days. And Hugh Freeze and company, along with, he brought Keldrick Folk, Eugene Asante. We have that story about Let's Work. We'll tell people.
Yes.
And then Peyton Thorne, obviously,
that's right.
brought as well. But it was a pretty good day for the Tigers.
That was, yeah. I mean, obviously, the thing that they haven't shied away from is that they know last year wasn't successful, and it's tough because it was year one for Hugh Freeze. He had to take over so much that the Harsin era was just a mess, especially at the end. And I think Hugh Freeze knew that. That was something that he said in his opening statement was, we've got to build it up to what the Auburn standard is. That's not winning 6 games and going under 500. He knows that. But like we talked about earlier, there's a lot of reason to believe that will change this year. Yeah,
he's got in guys that he's recruited, that he wants to coach up, right? And he has 2 new coordinators that I think are going to be a lot better than the previous coordinators. He brings in DJ Durkin for the defensive coordinator role, a guy that has plenty experience. And then Derek Nix coming from Ole Miss, he is now the offensive coordinator. And then, Peyton Thorne, we talked with him today. He's going to be the starter for year 2. And I think just as a quarterback, knowing right now, even in spring, like I'm the starting quarterback that does a lot for someone's confidence. We talked about that about Jalen Milroe.
Right, I was just going to say, it was kind of the same thing as that. And, Thorne was not crazy impressive last year, just being blunt. Had some flashes for sure, but I think it was consistency for him. And Hugh Freeze was asked about that today, and he said, look, I've seen this guy play good Power 5 football when he was at Michigan State. And so I think another year just knowing, like you said, having that mindset of, hey, I'm going to be the guy, everyone's looking around you, you have to lead your guys, could be advantageous to them.
Yeah, we spoke one-on-one with Hugh Freeze, and I did ask him about Peyton Thorne, and he said that his confidence is growing and that, he brought in these young wide receivers. So, like Cam Coleman is one that you're going to want to watch out for.
I mean, he's
incredible for a freshman. I mean, he is a name to watch. You're going to see him on our highlights all the time. But he thinks that this is going to fulfill Peyton Thorne's potential, bringing in these new guys with a lot of talent, the guys that he brought in from the portal and the guys that he recruited and things like that. One thing that I really liked from Peyton Thorne today that he said was, he was asked about the changes on the offense, and he said there are a lot of changes, right? And he said that there's more of an urgency at practice, and it's just more detail-oriented, everything coming from Nix and Freeze. So play calling, I feel like, can get very creative, and I'm excited to see that.
And the nice thing for them, too, you talked about this at 6,
have a good run game. They have a good running back room. You have Jarquez Hunter returning. He led the team in touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. And then you have Damari Alston coming back, and you have Jeremiah Cobb, one of Fever Country's finest. I had to say it, but he led the SEC for freshmen in touchdowns last season. And I'm not just saying this because we covered Jeremiah Cobb, but that guy he's a dude. I mean, he is a stud. He is a bowling ball. I think he's going to get better and better with each game. And I think Damari Alston is super elusive. I'm excited to see him again. You love a good run game.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, Jarquez. And in the SEC, that means so much when you're going up against such good defensive lines. The best defensive lines and the best offensive lines, for that matter, in the country are in this conference. So it helps to have that experience of how to get through that.
Yeah, I want to bring up the O-line because, there was some O-line trouble last year. Thorne had a glowing review about his center, Connor Liu, SEC all-freshman last year. I think he's going to be a huge player for the Tigers. It's always great to have a good center.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we talked with former offensive lineman Cole Kublik, who is now on the SEC network. We spoke with him about the offensive line, and we asked him, about Hugh Freeze and Peyton Thorne. We're going to have that interview for you. I think on Saturday, I'm going to show you guys that interview. A lot of good stuff from Cole Kublik. One other thing I want to bring up is Keldrick Falk.
Yeah, I was just gonna go to the defensive line. You were talking offensive line. Let me talk defensive line.
Love it.
So we spoke with Keldrick today, and this was kind of cool because I've now spoken to him twice in the last week. He had his camp in Highland Home on Saturday, and then I told him, I was like, hey, I'll see you there, and I did see him here. So we got to speak with him one-on-one too. He told me going into today that he was a little bit nervous for this experience, but he said, it was a great experience. Walking the halls, you're getting to talk to so many different people, and that's what I told him at the time. I go, it's not intimidating. You're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over. But he was very gracious with his time. The thing about Keldrick that's interesting is he was an all-SEC freshman last year. Felt like he didn't even play up to his full potential.
I agree.
So for Auburn, Auburn fans got to be loving that.
Yeah.
If they feel like there's another level to be unlocked. And one thing that I thought was really cool, too, was that he credited another Fever star, Marcus Harris, in his development. Obviously played a lot as a freshman. Marcus now signing with the Houston Texans in the NFL. So Keldrick Falk is going to be a guy to watch out for in the SEC this year.
Marcus Harris, his younger brother, Malik Blockton, is on Auburn's defense, and he is going to be one to watch as well. Super young guy, was there for spring ball, and he was a force to be reckoned with at Pike Road. I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with at Auburn, too. So that's pretty cool. They lose Marcus Harris, but then they have Malik Blockton, and then you have Keldrick Falk, a bunch of all of our Fever guys going to Auburn.
I know.
It feels
and Keldrick Falk's younger brother could be headed there, too.
That's true. So, maybe one day.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. So we talked about that. Oh, Eugene Asante was the other player that came today, the linebacker, who was big for the Tigers last season. He's also going to be a big-time player, but I'm sure Auburn fans know this. He has this catchphrase, and it's called "Let's work." And we're all sitting in the media room, heads down.
I'm not gonna lie, I was very locked in at that moment.
We had a very tight deadline today, so we were kind of just
I heard that, and I was like,
yes. All of a sudden, Eugene Asante was like, "Let's." And screamed it in the media room. I think someone asked him to do it, which was fine, but we were on deadline, and so we're just and all of a sudden we all just stopped and we were like it scared me. But that just shows his energy and what he brings to the table and how much of a leader he is, and he's not scared to be funny, or he's not embarrassed to do something like that. It's just part of who he is.
No doubt. Another thing I want to talk about with Auburn, their schedule. We just talked about it at 6.
Yeah. Schedule.
Their first 5 home games. Their first 5 games are at home, which is not. Your first 3 being at home is kind of normal in the SEC.
I don't know. I feel like I don't. Yes, that's normal.
Yeah.
But why would it be a disadvantage?
I think just for the sake of you having your biggest home games, especially down the stretch of the season as you get towards the Iron Bowl.
True,
not having as many home games. So those are really the heart of your SEC games.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, but to me, I'm always like, why don't you start off
I think if they can
strong?
start, well, here's the thing. So their first SEC game, I believe, if I recall correctly, is Oklahoma, and that's week 4.
Yeah.
Let's say they beat the Sooners at home. They would be 4-0, and then guess where they go week 5, and they could be 4-0.
Georgia, right?
Or they could be, their first 5 games are at home. So, week 6. They'll go at Georgia. Correct. Excuse me. So their first 5 games are at home. That week 5 games against Oklahoma.
Right.
So they could be rolling into Athens, Georgia.
Yeah, that would be
5-0 if things work out the way that they believe.
Yeah, and then they got right after that they got Missouri too.
Do you have their schedule up?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they go. Thank you, Seth.
Let's see. Shout
Our
out
photographer Seth here is helping
he's
us
great.
out.
Alabama A&M, Cal, New Mexico, Arkansas. So that's their first SEC game.
That is Arkansas. You're right. Yeah.
But then that will be Oklahoma's first road SEC game.
Correct. That's what
so
it was.
They'll play 2 before, but again, all 5 at home. Arkansas not expected to contend at the top of the SEC this year.
Yes. You got to win that Arkansas game.
Right. You have to win that. Mm-hmm. OU will call it a toss-up. Mm-hmm. But let's say, they go into Athens 5-0.
Wow.
They're going to be top 10 if that happens.
Oh, yeah. And that's just huge momentum going into that. That would be really neat to see. But, we forgot to almost talk about the 5 home games.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
It is. You don't see that very often.
Yeah.
And, what Hugh said about it was, it can be tough just because you don't have those big games in the middle of the season at the end at home, which you'd probably prefer. But at the same time, he also said that he knows that Auburn fans are going to show up regardless.
Yeah,
especially if they're winning.
Man, Jordan Hare is nuts. That place will be rocking this fall. We can't wait to be there. Can't wait to cover the Tigers. Yes, Seth. What's that?
Road games, yeah. So they go at Georgia, at Missouri, at Kentucky, which is a very tough stretch in the middle of October. And that's one thing you said. They only have one October home game, and that is they don't have an October home game.
Yeah,
because they have their bye week as well.
10-19, 10-26.
So no home games in October. They'll return the first week in November to play Vanderbilt at home.
Which you should win.
Yes.
Which you should win. Thank you.
But, I think this Auburn team has the potential to, make some noise.
I do, too. And I think you're bringing back an experienced quarterback, which is always huge. I feel like for the first time, I don't know in a long time, I've only been here for 3 years, but the story for Alabama and Auburn doesn't really have to do with the quarterbacks this season, right?
No, I'd agree.
It was like, who's going to be quarterback?
Because there was so much Bo Nix, Bryce Young.
Yes.
You had that, and now, it's a little different. It's, you're focusing on the full team. Obviously, with Alabama, you have a new coach as well.
Right. But a lot of good storylines with both teams, and I think we brought you a lot of good storylines all week, and we hope you think the same. It's been a busy week, but it's been a fun week.
And we've got plenty more coming up.
We do. We have so much more
that's the exciting stuff.
We have so much stuff to show you. We can only have about 4:15 in sportscast.
For about 4 minutes
for SEC Media Day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard sometimes to cram everything in there, but we try to bring you like the best and most important stuff from each day, and then tweet out things online and post on Facebook and whatnot. So we really hope that you enjoyed the coverage. We really enjoyed this digital segment just because we can kind of show you our personalities.
Yeah, a little more behind the scenes
of
how we
do it. We're not as polished here, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that, but a little more behind the scenes, and it's been a good week.
I think so too.
Yeah. Well, thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you. My goodness, first one down in the books here at WSFA.
I can't believe it's over.
It's been great, and now that it's over, you know what that means. Talking season almost over. It's almost time to actually play the games.
Shoot some highlights. I cannot wait.
The best season.
Yeah, in about 2 weeks it'll be fall camp, which is just crazy. Hey, we want to give a shout out to our photographer Seth, who has been here all week with us, and he has been working so hard to make us look good on air. He shot a lot of the B-roll that you are seeing on our TV. So thank you, Seth. We appreciate it. He's also been holding one of our lights this entire time. If you would like to show.
He's a light stand too.
Yeah, he is a light stand. I don't know if you can see this, but he's holding a light for us. We just didn't have enough room, honestly, in our bags. But we really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and we are going to send it back into you guys.